Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Thursday evening to you all. Hope everyone is doing well out there tonight. Have yourselves an awesome Thursday. And as always, I hope you folks have been having a great week out there so far, almost to the weekend. So that's always good. Here to give you some updated information on multiple topics in this evening's video. The first thing we will discuss is the severe weather threat in the state of Texas, even a little bit into western Oklahoma as we get really into tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, like all the way into the overnight hours. I mean, all the way into the wee hours of the morning, like Saturday. So we'll talk about that, talk about what's driving it, what the storm mode could look like, the highest risk levels as far as severe weather. Is it tornadoes? Is it winds? We will discuss that. Speak a little bit on Saturday, but really all we're going to do is just show the risk level for Saturday. There could be some severe weather. Then we'll give you some updated information for this weekend for the rest of the Rockies with this kind of the same storm system that will deliver snow across the higher elevations of the Rockies, lower elevation rain. We'll kind of even zoom in to the state of Colorado. Is any accumulating snow expected in Denver? We'll talk about that. And then a good portion of this video is going to go into discussing the storm system out west. Now, it's already pretty active out there right now, seeing some impacts from this, but everything's pointing to this next storm system, the latter half of this coming weekend, all the way into early next week for this storm to be much more powerful than the one we're experiencing right now. So we'll get detailed with you folks. Quick reminder, I'm not well rehearsed on all the geography, I know the basic stuff in California, like the Sierra Nevada and the Valley regions, but, all these little microclimate regions, I don't have them memorized. I live in little old itty bitty South Carolina over here, so I'm going to give it my best shot. We're going to zoom into areas, show you some really good graphics, and try to help you folks that are tuning in from California kind of get a good idea with what we're going to expect from this system, because it is getting hyped up a lot out there, that's for sure. And then at the very end of the video, we will give you some updated information on this pattern change that I pretty much pushed all my chips on. So if it does not unfold, people are going to come at me with the torches and pitchforks. So I already know it's coming. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty confident mid-month is going to be a significant flip. So I think winter's going to have a last laugh, that's for sure. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about, please put those in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. A little bit of moisture over the middle of the country, not a big deal. A little bit of lingering snow up here in the Northeast, really only speaking about Maine. One round is starting to pull out. Another round will pull in and from Canada back into Maine. So a little bit more of additional snowfall accumulation is expected. A lot of moisture out west. The big Maine consolidated area of rain is now starting to move into like Arizona. It's raining pretty good right now in Las Vegas and probably Los Angeles too. We're just getting more of a convective feed into California, more so just rounds of rain and heavier downpours, maybe even a rumble of thunder. So it's a little bit kind of just on and off in the state of California is what I'm saying. A little bit more of a steady rain here and far southwest California though. So what about watches, warnings, and advisories? I think that we will begin to get almost every county in California with some sort of weather alert by the time we get into the next 24 to 48 hours. Right now, you got a lot of flood watches that will maintain themselves in areas of California. I definitely think like, Santa Barbara, certainly back down to, well, it looks like San Diego already still has their flood watches up. I definitely basically just think all these areas right here will get flood watches. Certainly. Winter storm warnings will, pretty much maintain themselves in these higher elevations right now. These alerts right here are more so what's going to happen this weekend, basically the next 48 to 72 hours. Winter weather advisories all the way to Montana, a few counties, and Idaho. So I expect to see a lot more alerts littered in this region as we start to get into the next day or two. So let's talk about the severe weather threat first. There is a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 risk. Now, remember, if you tuned in from this morning's video, it just was a level 1 out of 5. They have now bumped it up to a slight risk, and that does include San Antonio and surrounding regions. So we have a marginal risk that goes all the way up to western Oklahoma. This does include, you might as well say it includes the Dallas-Fort Worth area, even though it cuts off right here, right in the Dallas metro. But, we got a marginal risk that extends all the way down to Corpus Christi. So we're definitely going to get some severe weather in this area, more so tomorrow night. I'll show you that here in a second. Tornado threat, still just a 2% risk. And this is more in the southeastern section of this severe weather threat. Just a 2% risk of a tornado hail threat. There is a 15% risk of hail, and that's really what's driving this slight risk. They are thinking that, and I'll talk about why here in a second, why we have a higher hail threat than any other risk or threat from the severe weather threat. But we do have that 15% risk in the yellow. You got a 15% chance of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger within 25 miles in any given location. Wind threat with this, well, we're all over the place. 5% chance of winds, exceeding 50 knots or higher. That's 55 to 60 miles per hour. I don't think this will be a huge threat tomorrow, but I could see this definitely bumping up to a 15% risk by the time we do a video tomorrow morning. So let's take a look at the HRRR model. We'll start off for tomorrow morning. As you can tell, winds are increasing in the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is at 500 millibars, which is thousands of feet up in the air. But think of this as lift in the atmosphere. And here it comes. This is what we call the mid-level jet. If we can get it in motion. Come on, pivotal weather. There we go. And, this is getting into tomorrow evening. As you can tell, you got 40, getting close to a 50-knot mid-level jet. This is creating a lot of lift for these thunderstorms that I think will really start to fire after the sun sets tomorrow in the state of Texas. And it really starts to get going here as we get well into the overnight hours. And I think there'll definitely be some kinetic fuel for these storms. I just don't think there'll be a huge, significant, severe weather threat as far as winds, but plenty of lift in the state of Texas for thunderstorm development. So you can check that off the box. Not a high-end ingredient for it. But you also look at dew points. All right, this is a thermodynamic, right? What you just looked at just a second ago was a kinematic. We're talking about wind energy. This is thermodynamics. And one big thing you look at is moisture levels, and these are dew points. And as you can tell, dew points almost spike all the way to around 60 degrees in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But you got this pool of dew points in the low, the mid-60s. So, you got enough moisture in the atmosphere to definitely have a severe weather threat. And one thing to note, typically with Dallas is not a state, Texas kind of setups is typically got a lot of desert dry air really close by and cooler air aloft. So this is basically going to mash with this atmosphere and create probably lapse rates, is what we call it, which means that the temperatures, the further you get up in the atmosphere, the higher those lapse rates are, the better those lapse rates are, means the quicker the temperatures cool, the higher up you get in the atmosphere. So if they cool off very fast, you got good lapse rates, which are going to support more hail. And that's probably going to be the case right in here. That's why you have an increased hail threat way down here in Texas. So that's certainly going to be the case down here. And, last thing we'll look at is Cape levels. Nothing too crazy down here, but they do spike right into here. We get Cape levels, not levels, over 1,000 joules per kilogram, and that's certainly going to be enough fuel in the atmosphere. And you can see how it's kind of going in a line right here. That's actually kind of somewhat of your dry line. You got ingredients to support strong to severe storms on this side. On this side, you got more stable air. So as soon as them storms fire, it eats up that storm fuel, and it's gone. What about the actual radar? What does this look like? Well, if you're confused about what time frame we're at, back this up 1 hour because this is in Eastern time. So we keep this going, and here's the storms firing off. This is around 7 p.m. Got some showers kind of making their way through the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and then this is when the big storms get going. This is around 9 to 10 p.m. We got some bigger storms firing, starting to move into the San Antonio region. And big storms right in the heart of Texas, and even storms all the way up here into western Oklahoma. And they're just scattered about. The structure of them, doesn't look all that impressive. Going to get some strong winds with these, probably some hailers down here, and you could have that tornado threat right into here. Okay, and then we keep this going. This kind of turns into just a more congealed area of heavier rain, showers, and storms as it makes its way. And you'll be greeted to this for Saturday morning in East Texas. And this will continue to kind of chug along. And we could still have a severe weather threat ongoing around Houston as we're waking up for our Saturday morning. We got to watch these storms down here for sure. So we'll watch out for that. Severe weather threat for our Saturday, there is a marginal risk. And that is because the extension of the storms that form tomorrow night into Saturday morning will basically continue around the coastline of Texas into Louisiana. So we need to watch for severe weather also for our Saturday. So the rest of the moisture on top of this storm, as we are getting into our Friday, will be up here to the north. So, a lot of higher elevation snow for Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho. But the most moisture will probably be down here in the Rockies. So here comes a low pressure trying to eject, but it's not going to be able to because there's a ridge on top to the north of this. But check out this snow flying around the Front Range. Maybe a little bit of snow in Denver. See this snow getting all the way up here into western Montana, western Wyoming, certainly areas of Utah. And we continue to keep this going. This could be a pretty substantial winter storm in the Rockies in certain areas, in these favorite areas, basically from western Montana all the way to western Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, all the way along the Front Range, and even the foothills of Colorado. It's like south of Colorado could get several inches of snow. It's very possible. And then this heads on out. It's still snowing up here Sunday afternoon up here in Utah. And then here comes our big system entering the screen that we'll talk about here in a second. But, a broad look at how much snow expected over the weekend between now and basically pretty much through the weekend. Just depends on where you are elevation-wise. You could get, if you're in the lower elevations, you're probably just going to get mainly rain. Higher elevations, 1, 2, 3,000 feet make a huge difference in this setup. But this is mainly aimed at the northern Rockies, the central Rockies, and we will get a little bit of snow in the southern Rockies too. So a little bit closer look at like Colorado. Denver going for an inch or less of snow. But you head on down here to Castle Rock, 6 to 8 inches of snow, folks. So this will favor the foothill region right down here, just south of Denver. Boulder, not going to get much. You really got to get into the higher elevations for sure. So what about this big storm system that everybody's talking about for California? We'll start this off. We'll look at the Euro and the GFS. What does the Euro show? Excuse me, got the hiccups. Euro, we get into Saturday, and then we're getting into, already, like the middle of the night Saturday into Sunday morning. This is late Saturday. We're already getting basically a feed, what we call an atmospheric river of moisture, basically slinging into the central and southern California coastline. This continues, San Diego down here, Los Angeles, like right into here. We got Santa Barbara up here, Santa Maria up here somewhere, and just, San Diego might luck out. And even Los Angeles could luck out. It just depends on where this feed of moisture sets up. The Euro says it's really going to slam this area right into here. And of course, once you get higher up in the Sierra Nevada, this is blizzard conditions, heavy, heavy wet snow. And you continue to get this feed of heavy moisture. And I know you're hearing a lot of people talk about an atmospheric river in California. And this is why they're talking about this, is because this is just feeding into the same areas. Just continues to feed into these same areas right into here. And that's why you're getting that term kind of tossed around a lot. They're calling it like the Pineapple Express, all these fancy terms. But, at the end of the day, it's just a very strong Pacific storm that's going to continue to feed a lot of moisture on it as basically moisture pivots around this low. And here it comes, gets more slinging into this region Sunday evening. This is getting into Monday morning. This is getting into Monday afternoon. Still rain just getting pushed into California. And even as we get into next Tuesday, you're probably going to continue to get a feed of moisture into these areas. But it's pretty obvious that the worst of this is going to move in Saturday night, affect your weather Sunday night, Monday, all the way into our Tuesday morning. And the GFS, what does this show? It really wants to hit this axis of moisture much further north. For example, the GFS has like a full kind of detached low right up here. Slings a lot of moisture down here into the southern coastline of California, but it doesn't get near as much moisture down here to like Los Angeles and certainly not even San Diego. It's a big difference. You finally get some moisture down here, but it's much further north, just in general. So, and then, it wants to do something weird as we get into midway next week. But, the European model as far as, and this is the European ensemble as far as rainfall, this is between now and Saturday morning. Another couple inches of rain from Los Angeles to San Diego. Not as much around the immediate central coastline, but a little bit more rain up here in the northern coastline of California. And then, but you keep you go all the way out to about, let's just take it all the way out to next Tuesday evening. Folks, that is like 8, 9, 10 inches of rain showing up just north of LA. That's a lot of rain. And you look at the GFS ensemble with this, and you notice it's not near as aggressive. Not near as aggressive. So that's why I like to compare and contrast. If you're a new viewer from California watching my channel, first off, thank you. I don't think I have a lot of viewers. I know my one guy Ron down there in San Diego, he's a loyal viewer, but definitely comment if you're in California. Give me some tips. I would love them. But the GFS ensemble, not as crazy with these rainfall totals. Let's hope this is right. But of course, this rain that's it's showing, this isn't really rain. This is snow. I should say it better. This is precipitation totals. So, if something like the European run is right, this is San Diego down here. San Diego right here is, it's saying between now and next Wednesday, it's saying 3 to 4 inches of rain. It's saying you go up here to LA, it's saying anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of rain is possible. You go to Santa Barbara, even more than that. But you look at the GFS run, and it's still a lot of rain, guys. But you notice the big difference here, like north of LA, big difference. It stays about the same for San Diego, pretty much leveled off. Not as much rain for LA, though. It's a big difference. And this is kind of the area that we're really concerned about. And we are concerned a little bit further up the coast, too. But I would say, several hours north of LA is kind of that area that I think a lot of people are super concerned about. And you look at the winds with this is potential wind gust. And, you look around LA and it's looking like maybe a potential for 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts. But you go up to, on up the road to Santa Barbara, Santa Maria. And, you folks could get 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts with this, on and off. Not consistent, but those are your maximized wind gusts off the blend of all models. Now, how much snow? Look at the Sierra Nevada. This is the blend of all models, too, which is going to be conservative. Conservative for sure. That is feet of snow. What can I say? I don't know all these individual towns in the Sierra Nevada. But I always thought it'd be wild just to live here. There's a buddy I follow on social media, and he lives in the northern sections of the Sierra Nevada. And he always talks about how just 1,000 or something feet just makes such a huge difference. But, man, just going to get completely plastered with heavy, heavy snow in the Sierra Nevada, that's for sure. And folks, even some of these higher elevations, kind of in the higher peaks, just outside the LA area, is probably going to get snow from this too. So definitely be prepared from this. And, this is this is kind of the National Weather Service forecast for this, which only goes out through about Sunday evening. And it's already starting to add up the totals down into here. So hope this helps, guys. I wish I was well versed with every single town and community in California, but maybe in time I will be. But let's talk about this pattern change. So there's your signal for a lot of storminess in the western U.S. This is for next Wednesday evening. You see the big blue blob? That's low pressure and storminess and coolness. The red, call it the red blob, whatever you want to call it, that's a ridge. That indicates more stable conditions, above average temperatures. So what I want you to watch is how this blue area gradually shifts. It doesn't stay in one spot. It gradually shifts into the central and eastern U.S. And I will tell you before we get going is above average temperatures are probably coming for a good section of the central and eastern U.S. again next week. So this will continue. And as you can tell, this continues to move, and it'll kind of drift away, but looks like there's still some sort of attachment with lower pressure still screeching across the country. We're starting at this point to get just past 10 days. But watch what happens. Big old trough shows up in the eastern and central U.S., and we'll take it all the way to next Wednesday, not next Wednesday morning, but about mid-month, Valentine's Day, the morning of Valentine's Day. Okay? You got this tall spike and ridge up into here. All right? You got this dip in the trough right into here. You're getting a feed of cold air down into here, and then you got this ridge, like I said, bulging down to here. This is around where the jet stream would be, maybe give or take several hundred miles. And what we watch for here is also the Pacific jet getting pretty active down here. So Pacific jet meaning like the southern jet. So you're basically getting energy riding in from the south, and then you have to watch little pieces of energy that rides in from the north. So I'll put X as an energy, and we'll have to watch these pieces of energy as they kind of come down, maybe try to phase together, or just maybe you just have one piece of northern stream energy, or you might just have one piece of southern stream energy. But regardless, you're getting a cold air feed now into this area right into here. So, and you can widen that circle out if you want, but in general, they all meet in here. and you got to watch. I mean, you even got to watch in Texas too. So that's kind of what's going on with this setup, and you keep this going, and this looks better and better as we start to move, into the 15th, into the 16th. And it looks like a fantastic pattern if you're a winter weather fan. And you got a cross-polar flow. You see how you have the blue attached to the northern sections of the northern hemisphere? And that's a direct flow, what we call a cross-polar flow from the south. And it looks like you got lower pressure out here in the Pacific, and you're just getting chances of energy shooting down to the south. Negative NAO showing up. This would help our storm track right up the eastern U.S. And I've seen a couple comments say, and I want to mention this, say, Mitch, why do you always talk in excitement for winter weather, for snow? Not everybody likes snow. I'll tell you folks right off the dot. I mean, I'll always keep it real with you. If that bothers you, I don't really know what to say. I really don't, because I am a fan of snow. I'm a fan of weather. Now, am I a fan of severe weather outbreaks? No, I'm not. But I'm absolutely a fan of snow, and I'm not afraid to admit it one bit. There's a lot of people that have passions out there, and maybe their passion could be dangerous. I mean, if you got a passion for drawing, technically your drawing can be dangerous if you drop a colored pencil on the ground or something like that, and maybe. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but you get what I'm saying. You're right. Any passion, any interest, could be dangerous. And folks, I'm good with just going off the limb here a little bit, but it's just how it is. And I love winter weather. It's my favorite type of weather to talk about. And I can tell by the views that I get when I'm talking about winter weather that a lot of people probably agree. But we'll take a look at the GFS ensemble, and it's the same evolution, folks. I mean, you keep this going, and we're actually going to have to go back to this. And, eventually you get the trough that shows up in the east, and here it is, showing up, and it looks like a fantastic pattern, showing up about mid-month. There it is. So what are we going to get out of this? We're not sure. We're not sure what we're going to get out of it. All I can say is that the pattern change almost looks set in stone to me. It does. Now, I think we're going to deal with a pretty big warm-up. And this is going to confuse people. They're going to be like, Mitch, I thought you said it was cooling down. I thought we were going to get a big, cool down mid-month. And that's the thing, folks, is we're going to be warm again, or either stay warm for you folks that haven't cooled down before we get cool again. So you look at the above average temperatures in the central and eastern U.S., but watch how they just kind of evaporate over time. And when we get into the mid-month time frame, it's the 14th into the 15th, and then all of a sudden you're getting below average temperatures. As far as storm systems, I don't know. We don't know. We're not that far out. I don't know what Louisiana's going to get, what Tennessee's going to get, what South Carolina's going to get. I don't know. All I can say is that this pattern has been well advertised since back in the fall. Some of the long-range forecasts were showing this for February a long, long time ago. And I've never seen the extended kind of ooze into the long-range ensembles like they have been doing ever. So all I can say is if this does not unfold, this will probably be one of the biggest model fails that I've seen in a long time. But all we know is, El Ninos are backloaded, guys. And this would basically be, pretty much define that, a backloaded El Nino. So we just need to watch it. We need to figure it out. And we will continue to talk about it as it gets closer. And my theory is that we're going to start to see a lot of crazy model runs as we get really into next week, for like the next week after. I really do. I think the models are going to start to go crazy with this. You're going to start to see some freak winter storms, some just weird stuff on the models. So, but anyways, that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all, and y'all have a great night.